See episode 4, Fresh Blood. I'm Joe. Please subscribe to our channel. Plenty of other great videos coming up, and we hope to have you along for the ride. Apple TV Plus's exclusive television series starring Jason Momoa as a blind psychopath. Just gonna do my 3 takeaways, and then I'm gonna boldly make some predictions for episode 4, even though I've been terribly wrong with some predictions so far. Whereas episode 2 was comical, episode 3 was so macabre, it depressed me. And it might have also had to do with the fact that we just hit that, the short days where we had to have daylight savings, so the sun went away over the weekend at 4 o'clock, and it got cold, and it got dreary, and with all the dreary and dampness that was happening outside, I watched this episode, which was so macabre and disturbing. Inbred dead baby, because Gather Vox was, as we found out in the second episode, loves him some 2019 porn, and, went full in with his aunt, and they made they made an inbred baby that did not survive childbirth, as we found out that, the villagers think that's some kind of curse from God because they're not roaming around, doing their business. And the daughter, who can see and has a bunch of books, knows it's simple genetics. We know it's simple genetics. They think it's a curse from God. Either way, they know it's no good that you bang your own aunt. They know this in a world without sight, but we don't know this in 2019 when we have porno that's all about banging your family members. They burn the witches. They think they have the gift of light or sight, but how do you know? They're just running around burning people for no reason. So they've found zealots. They've built more zealots with the witch guy going around, killing people. So other people are obviously afraid, and now we're leading to the mob mentality of rounding up random people and burning them to death. Girl aiming down people in her own town. Now she's aiming at people saying, I could kill them and no one would know. So she's a little freaky. She's a little dark. General having to die for his failure. That was freaking macabre. The guy went around for 20 years, collected thousands of carts or hundreds of carts or whatever. Lots of carts. Slaves, diamonds, whatever good stuff they needed. Everybody was rejoicing as his return as the tax collector with all the stuff he got. But he never got Jerry Morrell. Even though he was going to towns and torturing people, and he said, no one gave me anything. He deserved to be put to death then. 20 years going around torturing people and nobody gave you anything? So he clearly did suck at that portion of his job. He was good as a tax collector, but did suck as a witch hunter. Yeah, maybe he did deserve it. Still macabre. And then finally we had the slavers, which were just the grossest looking things. And just to think that we have blind people out there capturing other blind people. Even when everybody has a disability, they're still turning on each other. The slavers were gross. I mean, gross people. And the fact that they're doing that's gross. And I'd like to know more about the structure of this society. Like, how do you avoid slavers? I mean, you could just be picked up by a slaver and now you're a slave? My second takeaway was once again the utter stupidity of Baba Voss. So they go to the village. They need to send their girls into these dances, these orgy dances, to get banged by other villagers. That way they can go back to their village, and they're possibly being knocked up with fresh blood that they can bring into the village. Which explains why in episode 1 Paris said you have to whisper the true name of the father. That way they know it in their heart, because these people probably go from town to town, going to these villages and doing their business and coming back to their village and bringing in fresh blood. That's their way, I guess. They are witness to them burning witches who aren't even witches to death around the bonfire. They don't say, maybe we should get out of here. Maybe we should make a speedy exit. They don't say, let's just hang out, but let's stay up all night, making sure nothing happens to us. No, Baba Voss and Margra are in bed, I think naked. They probably were banging all night, even though they were in an absolutely desperate and miserable situation and dangerous situation. I mean, I guess they're freaks. I guess they like danger too. I don't know, but it's stupid what they were doing. There was a moment on the show that I started yelling at the TV screen. They've captured the son by the slavers. They're trying to find the son, and they're following the path. The sister notices that he wrote, I'm alive, follow the path. And she says, he's this way, I know. How do you know? He left me a message. Well, how did he leave you a message? Now, they're not supposed to tell their mother that they've been reading the books and they've learned about the books and they've learned how to read. And I'm saying to myself, tell her you devised your own way of communicating. Tell her we came up with our own secret messages. Instead, she tells the truth. She had a chance to lie. It was an easy lie. I thought of the lie. And this is a 17-year-old. 17-year-olds are exceptional liars. And she doesn't lie. And now we have this stupidity in the middle of them trying to get the son back. Now we're dealing with the fact that they read the books and they weren't supposed to. It could have been dealt with earlier. That could have been dealt with later, but not at that moment where she could have very easily said, we've come up with a secret method to talk to each other. It's not like anybody else would know. No one else can see. I almost want to turn it off, but I kept going. So when they get back to town and they're hanging out and they're reconciling and we're going to finally tell you about your father, you hear the dogs in the background. The witch hunters come with his army again to get them. What's going to happen in episode 4? Here are the things they could do if they wanted to get ridiculous, and I wonder if they're going to do any of them. Since the daughter has showed her proficiency with a bow, Baba Voss could say, everybody gather around, find sticks, and fashion them, and they can hand them to the girl, and she could stand there and she can swipe out the whole friggin' army with her bow. That's the first thing they could do. The second thing that could happen is we found out that the twins were making booby traps that nobody else could make because they have sight, and they unleash all the booby traps on the army. The third thing they could do is we found out the whole time that the twins were building boats. Boats because they knew one day they had to get out of there, and that was the way they were going to get out of there because there was a river to get out. The fourth thing that could happen is Jerry Morrell shows up with an army of sighted children. Some he made himself from his travels. Maybe he found other ones. And they come, and with the limited army of sighted kids with bows and arrows, they hold off the horde of witch hunters. So those are the things that could happen. I don't know if any of them are going to happen. We'll find out, but those are my predictions of things that could happen. If any of those happen, I'll be happy. If you could see in a world where no one else could see, you are God, as the Queen was saying. So it's time they start acting like it. Not like the son who starts vomiting and gets captured by blind people. You're a God. So that's episode 3, C, Fresh Blood. Episode 4 drops in a few days. I'm either going to like it, I'm going to keep going, or I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to just concentrate on watching Rick and Morty and The Mandalorian. Please subscribe to our channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Plenty other ones coming up. Until next time, I'm Joe.